Hello and welcome to Wisdom Hour on the 25th of April, and I'm out in my garden at the moment on my swing seat because it's such a beautiful day here. Still a bit cool but really lovely, and so I thought I'd do my Wisdom Hour out here today. If you hear strange sounds, it'll probably be my chickens making all sorts of wonderful noises, so don't worry about that. The question I'm doing today is about someone who's a bit confused about their friendship with someone. It's an old friendship. I've known my friend for 10 years, but whenever we are together, I feel like her energy is negative towards me. She doesn't say anything negative, but I feel like there is a negative energy directed at me. Now, I always test for a goal to see what goal needs to be worked on for this. This is a very interesting one. To stay with my friend's fear and pain. Okay, so let's just see what comes out of that. Give me a yes, give me a no. She's happy for me to come into her field. Thank you. Okay, so we want to work with one. Take your take your present pain in your gut, underneath your navel, and pretend that this is your friend's pain. She gets a pain in her gut when she sees you, and this is because you both reflect each other's pain. Her pain is like yours. It is a type of anxiety which she doesn't really have an explanation for, but knows that she also feels uncomfortable with you. These reflections between the two of you are a wound that you both share and that actually brought you together in the first place. By this we mean that you both share a troubled childhood which had similar problems. Question, statement. You are experiencing your own pain being reflected back at you, and she is experiencing the same. This reflection and amplification happens when two people get close and their barriers come down. When there is no similar wound in the other person, it obviously doesn't get reflected. But if you share a similar wound, it amplifies, and it can be very uncomfortable for both of you. This reflection won't prove this reflection won't prove your this reflection won't prove your your practical energy towards each other. What does this mean? This pain won't prove your practical energy towards each other. Improve? No, doesn't mean improve. It says it won't prove it. By this, we mean that when you think that she doesn't really like you, you now know it doesn't prove to be so, and when you experience this sense of discomfort coming from her and your discomfort with her, together you won't prove anything to each other by pretending that there is nothing wrong. In a situation like this, the best thing to do is to share your uncomfortable feelings and enter into an intimate conversation about how you really feel. By intimate, we mean break down those barriers that you keep to protect yourself and simply be truthful, 100% truthful. She is also vulnerable. She is also vulnerable and is putting up this same facade, but it is not working for either of you, and beneath this pain there is a great care and presence for each other. Great care and presence for each other. So that's good, isn't it? That's underneath this stuff, all right? Underneath it. So, next. Give your friend a hug and tell her you want to talk to her about something that's been troubling you and that you don't want to upset her, but you need to clear it with her so you two can both feel relaxed with each other again. It is okay to share this with her as well. It may help her to understand where these funny feelings are coming from and that they are not because you don't like her, and so on. Remember that you are both reflecting each other's pain, and so what you are thinking and feeling is probably what she is thinking and feeling. Okay? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? So there you go. Oh, hello, Gary. Nice to see you. I'm out in my garden. It's a nice sunny day. This is a good way to work, isn't it? Hey? Portable work. That's what I'm up into these days. And Anne, hello Anne. Lovely to see you. So that's the question I'm answering for today. This thing of reflecting or picking up people's reflection of our own wounds. I know Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about the pain body. you know, and how we're often not kind of aware of it at all, but it's there, it's real, and when somebody reflects it, you know, all of a sudden we start sort of experiencing it, but sometimes we'll experience it like, it's them, you know, it's coming from them. And it can be, but it's more that we're reflecting stuff back and forth and kind of amplifying it. And this is how, you know, really intimate relationships in terms of, you know, like couples and that, where it gets super tricky, because it's often because of our shared wounds that we get attracted to each other in the first place, along with lots of other things as well. But it can be a big attracting feature. I think in terms of, what is it? Why does that happen? This happens because our evolution depends on us healing these old wounds. And when we can work through them with another person who deeply loves us, even when we are being horrible, and even when we are practically not being a good partner, we find our center again and know that we are lovable and that we do matter and that we can be loved for who we are, good and bad. And this is incredibly healing. And this is why we choose people who often have the same wounds that we do. Of course, this can all blow up in our faces, and the pain that's reflected back and forth and amplified can be triggers for huge fights and misunderstanding and a sense that the other person hates us or doesn't care about us, and so many different complications can happen. But when there is abiding love, these wars, that's a big word, isn't it? These wars can wonderfully be resolved, and everyone wins. Well, that's good news, isn't it? And I think I absolutely go along with that, having observed some pretty tumultuous relationships in my life and sort of come out the other end of them, or watched, you know, ones that have gone through hell, it appears, and yet they've come through it and their love has been really, really strong afterwards. So, you know, that can be, I think, hugely comforting for people who are going through these kind of wars, if you like, in their relationships. Having said that, of course, you know, there's that balancing thing, isn't there, of God, you know, okay, there might be, you know, fights and things or arguments and things that get pretty hot. But when, you know, that problem of when is it actually really destructive, and when do you have to walk away from it, and that kind of thing, I think is probably going through a few people's minds as well. It certainly goes through mine when I talk about that. So that might be another thing that we just might ask this general operating device what it thinks about that. Like when is there that line of, okay, this is just sort of abuse now, this is not us working through our reflected pain, okay? Can you help us with this? Give me a yes, give me a no. Okay, great. So, when you are working through reflected pain, you are loving and kind towards each other otherwise. And you get says you get sort of out of control when these issues come up and your relationship seems to be generally dysfunctional while you're going through this. But when love enters this disruption and the person can either walk away for a while or offer to hug you even though you are still yelling at them, or they show some other wonderful display of acceptance and love of you exactly the way you are, this is greatly healing and does so much for your relationship. If, however, when your relationship seems dysfunctional and you don't ever get presence from your partner or a sense that they truly care about you, or they try to diminish you or pull you down in front of others or behind others' backs or when you're alone and you are starting to lose your confidence or your power in the relationship, this is most likely an abusive relationship, and you are best to withdraw from this relationship and be alone until you can what is it? WR. What words start with WR? Oh, right. Oh, until you can, there it is. Until you can write, hello Samantha, until you can write your own script about how you want your relationship to look. Once you have a sense of how you want to be within a relationship and how you want to be treated, you won't accept anything less so easily. But if you don't have a sense of what is acceptable to you and what isn't. By this we mean you have clear boundaries about what you will accept within a relationship and what you won't. Then you are open to going into a relationship where people could try to push your boundaries all the time. Unfortunately, there are people who are really unwell psychologically and who are greatly suffering in themselves, but they are not able for a close relationship because they are too destructive within it. This doesn't mean you won't care about them anymore, but for one's own sake, one should retreat, because there is only one thing worse than one person being really psychologically unwell and destructive and in pain, and that is two people being like that and reflecting their pain bodies back and forth when they don't know what to do about it. Understanding this pain body reflection is very important in a relationship, and it takes a certain level of maturity to grasp this concept and to understand the difference between an essentially positive relationship that is going through the healing of old wounds that are reflected and an abusive relationship, or a relationship with someone who is not able to be in relationship yet. When a person shows they can't enter and stay in a relationship for many reasons, it is best to withdraw, and if you truly think they do have a lot of work to do on themselves, don't try and help them with that. Instead, suggest that they would be best served by seeing a good counsellor or psychotherapist or someone who can help them work through the problems that they have so that they can enter a relationship without it becoming abusive. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? That's it, folks. Right. Lovely to see some people here today. Here it is on this lovely sunny day. Look, I'm just going to give you a little look around. Ooh, it's gorgeous and sunny. And I am now going to go and have a bit of lunch and see my lovely client at 2. So please feel free to share this, or if you think there's somebody out there that may be having a similar situation, really confused about a relationship that's been going on for a long time, maybe with a good friend, if you like, and just see, I suppose, I don't think there's anything in there that would truly hurt anyone. I hope not. So lovely. Have a good day. Take care, and I'll be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.